What is going on, my Fighting Irish faithful? Joe is here in the house. Holy crap. Notre Dame 47, Clemson 40, double overtime. Irish defeat a number one team in the country. Haven't done that, I believe, since 1993, Game of the Century versus Florida State. Holy crap. I have not done a post-game show ever before. Tonight's game definitely deserves an instant reaction. We went to the back of the cupboard. We got some scotch. We got some good stuff. We got a Jura tonight. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Most of you are probably going to get this on Sunday morning, maybe Sunday afternoon, depending on how your celebration is going. And wow, let's do a quick recap here because I'm just too excited right now. I cannot go to bed. Holy smokes! I mean, what a great game. I mean, just from the get-go, second play from scrimmage, the Irish score on a long rushing touchdown. Kyron Williams. I mean, it's just so amazing. And the rushing certainly was the key strength of this team. I'm so glad the coaching staff decided to stick with that, stick to our guns right there. It's also great to see the students rush the field. Just a mass of humanity. I hate to be the person responsible for contact tracing at Notre Dame. If they cancel the next 3 weeks of Notre Dame season for COVID, well, we'll know why. But hopefully that doesn't happen. You know, everyone just goes and they give everyone hand sanitizer and whatever after this. So let's just go through the box score real quick. I'm not prepared at all. I kind of did a quick 5-minute outline here just so I could get some of my initial thoughts. Hats off to DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson. That dude is a baller. I mean, 439 yards, averaging 10 yards a pass, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions thrown. That dude is solid. I mean, I got to tip your hat to him. He played a stellar game. Ian Book kicked ass. He was 22 for 39. I'm not sure what the percentage is on that. It's probably not as good as DJ's. But 310 yards, averaging 7.9, 1 touchdown to Avery Davis right there at the end. Probably could have had 2 more. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Rushing, Notre Dame, again, 209 yards. Clemson, 34 yards on 33 attempts. 18 by Etienne. Etienne had 18 carries for 28 yards. Compare that to Kyron Williams, 23 carries, 140 yards, and 3 fucking touchdowns. That's amazing. Receiving, 300 yards for the Irish. Javon McKinley, 5 receptions, 102 yards. Clemson, Mr. Powell, 161 yards. Amiri Rogers, 134. I mean, those guys, Clemson's got weapons, and we knew that. Yeah, just so great. Tip to Ben Skoranek. That guy was an animal tonight. Got some crazy PI calls that were uncalls. He kept 1 foot in bounds at a real key moment in the game. Just really, really good. Special teams was decent. We actually returned a punt, I think, for the first time this year by Salerno, and then he actually ended up getting a fair catch, and Clemson's guy hit him, and penalty went in our favor. So good on you for staying tough there. Jonathan Dorr, I think, one of the players of the game. Just complete 100% field goal kicking. Fantastic. Good job on you. And then Bramblett had a great tackle right at the end there where Etienne tried to return it, and he tried to hurdle Bramblett. I thought that was kind of stupid of Etienne. He should have done a juke, but just what a great game to see the Irish finally summit something of consequence, beating a team of consequence. This will go down as probably one of Brian Kelly's greatest wins at Notre Dame. The only other one I can think of that has the same amount of energy would probably be the Oklahoma game, maybe even the Pittsburgh game that went into 3 overtimes, although that game was a nightmare. This game was high energy, but certainly knocking off the number 1 team in your house. As the movie Rudy says, No one comes into our house and pushes us around. And the Irish fought. They showed up and they took care of business. The defense, they are the toast of the night. Cheers to you, the defense. They were lights out. Too bad none of the stats are up yet on ESPN. Hopefully we'll get that in the next podcast. I just want to just have some of these other initial reactions here. Did anyone notice listening to the broadcast that Mayer has a theme song now at Notre Dame? Every time he makes a play, a good catch, something like that, they are playing the Halloween music. You know, Michael Myers, Halloween, spooky, scary music from the 70s. Anytime. The only other time I've ever heard that, and Grant, I'm dating myself here probably, but when the Lakers had Shaq, they used to play the Superman theme. It's because he had a Superman tattoo on his right bicep, I think. But that's amazing. We have a freshman tight end with his own theme song. I mean, wrap your mind around that, how impactful he is. I don't know another college football player that has a theme song in his stadium. Another tip of the cap goes to the sound guy or gal at Notre Dame Stadium who's piping the music. You're doing a fantastic job. You also played We Ready by Archie Arborsal's, I believe. And that was the intro to this week's podcast leading into the Clemson game. So good on you. You also were really feeling the mood of the stadium and the fans. And you were playing the frickin' Jeopardy theme when the refs were reviewing something that they didn't need to review, I think in overtime. So hats off to that person. Fantastic. This game was enjoyable. Obviously, I was home. I was with the doc. Cats running around. It was fantastic. But also on Twitter, texting my brother, texting my folks and other family members. But the people on Twitter, I want to give a quick shout out to some of these people. Dos Leprechauns, great victory video for you guys. Way to go. Josh, running 1 foot down, keep it up. John over at Always Irish. D-Bob ND, keep it up, man. You had the greatest tweet I have ever seen. You took D-Bob from Rudy, him shouting Rudy, Rudy, but you just typed instead Kyren. Great. Mike Sloan, Stevie D Irish, ND Fanatics, Four Horsemen Podcast, at Zeke_ND, at Rockneys Ghost, and Irish on Tap. You guys, great evening, great tweeting with everyone. Looking forward to the next game. If you listen to my podcast this week, I said there are keys to winning and beating Clemson. Notre Dame did 4 out of the 6. And I actually predicted that Notre Dame would do 3, so Notre Dame went up. And we'll go through those. Turnovers. Clemson had 3. Notre Dame had 1. So that unfortunately one of those was the Ian Book fumble right into the end zone. At least it was a touchback, but shit, and man, everyone was just losing their minds on Twitter with that one. Time of possession. Notre Dame did edge it out. 30 minutes, 22 seconds versus Clemson, 29-16. Third down percentage, Notre Dame, 52% converging, 10 out of 19. Clemson, 4 for 15, 26%. ND defense, keep it up. And then, of course, the most important thing, I believe, rushing yards. Notre Dame, 209 yards. Clemson with, 14, 15, 50. The box score's not coming up fast enough here for me. 34 rushing yards to Notre Dame's 209. So good on you guys. I predicted that if Notre Dame had executed on 3 of these items, you did it on 4, you would win. You were driving me nuts in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, allowing Clemson to come back. But if we count overtime as a quarter, one thing I said in the last podcast is Notre Dame needed to leave 0 points for Clemson in the fourth quarter. That clearly didn't happen, but we survived 2 overtimes and we got the win. So good on them. The refs were crap. The refs were terrible in this game. They were reviewing everything. They were missing calls. There was a face mask they missed. There was a pass interference that they didn't call. Well, no, they threw the flag and then they picked up the flag because Dabo was screaming on the floor. It was just bull crap. I was giving the refs a hard time. It was just shitty calling. And I mean, even if Notre Dame was independent going into this game, the ACC, we probably would have had this exact same officiating crew. So chew on that for a little bit. Even Dabo Swinney was pissed. He was running around. At one point, they went to review a call, which I think was a touchdown or something, and he just threw his headset on the ground just in utter defeat, like kind of just strolled down to the 10-yard line and came back. And just BK is just like, I don't know if he's on some like calming medication or something, but he's just standing there with his arms crossed, face mask on, and just shaking his head back and forth. It seriously should be a GIF on Twitter there. NBC, what the hell, NBC? Too many freaking mentions of all of Clemson's players that were injured, and Lawrence being out for COVID. I get it, all right? But at the end of the day, winners win, winners lose, and not once did you mention that Notre Dame had 2 receivers out for injury. Such garbage, such complete one-sided BS. All right, it's completely ridiculous. All right, we could have a whole other podcast about NBC, but let's not get into there. We want to be positive tonight. ND could have been their own worst enemy. I think they overcame the odds. This game went back and forth just as I thought it would go. And the fumble by Book, the missed catches by Mayer and Skowronek. I think Notre Dame left 21 points off of the scoreboard. And this could have been a completely different ball game. I think it could have been 35 to 13 going into half. I think we came out on script. We were focused. We were disciplined, and we came to play. As I mentioned, the defense was lights out. Defense. You had 3 huge tackles for loss in that second overtime, just demoralizing them, forcing a 4th and 24, 4th and 34, something crazy like that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff, and that's very, very similar to what happened, I believe, in 1993 against Florida State. So, amazing. I mean, who was it? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He strips the ball and runs it back for a touchdown. I was screaming. I had a beer open and I jumped up and beer went all over. Gave myself a little beer shower, and then I even took the phone and spun it and threw it on the carpet. It was like I had scored it. I was just loving it. That was probably one of the best points of the game, other than the victory right at the end. So. Hats off to the defense. Bo Bauer, Jack Lamb, Kurt Heinisch. You are a freaking animal, man. You look like a fucking Viking in there, so keep it up. There's probably a ton of other stuff I'm missing right now, but it's late and got the scotch going on right here. Next is Boston College. You're going to hear all week, assuming Notre Dame's contact tracing doesn't lead to a shit ton of COVID outbreaks, which is very possible with what we just saw on the field there. But you're going to hear all this comparison to 93, BC, and what's the quarterback that left Notre Dame? His mind is Jurkovic. Yeah, Phil. You're going to hear all that stuff this week, so get ready for that. That's all I'm going to talk about tonight. Great win for the Irish. Way to go, everybody. Feel good about this. Celebrate all week. Wear your Irish. Wear your green. Wear your Notre Dame. You see someone at the grocery store. You see him in line at the post office. I don't care. Get out there. Notre Dame is amazing. They'll probably be ranked 2nd or 3rd behind Alabama and Clemson. But who gives a shit about the pollsters? All that matters is that Notre Dame is undefeated. We are now 7-0, and we beat Clemson. This is a huge task that we have overtaken. We came to play. We fought. We were victorious. We played Notre Dame football. We didn't play exactly 60 minutes of Notre Dame football, but we did play a little bit more going into overtime to make up for it. So, way to go, everybody. Have a great, safe week, and go Irish. And we'll see you later this week for the Eagles Boston College show. Take care. Good night.